podcast, where we are regarded to as the starting five. We are powered by the Binge Podcast Network, and we are sponsored by Overtime Heroics Memphis. Let's be real about do-overs.
None of us need a do-over, do we?
Hope not.
Hope not.
Cool. Just making sure.
Always good to have a second chance. Always good.
We done made it episode 80.
Man.
Wow.
We in this trying time. We kept rolling. And now we at the big 80. 20.
That's a round of applause.
Congratulations, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. But top of this today, Memphis. In the middle of our second recording last week, Nolley decided to change the decision again, so we got to talk about him again. NFL news, Andy Dalton got released and signed with a new team in the same week, so we will talk about that. NBA redraft, we're going to do a 2009 NBA redraft, which Trevor suggested about a month ago. Since then, Bleacher Report has did it.
Yeah.
So took an idea around.
Yeah.
And we're finished with the L of the month. So first up, Memphis, Nolley. So we talked last week. He was going to get checked in less than 5-6 hours of that decision. He stayed at Memphis. But before we can get too excited, Jeff Goodman tweeted out that the NCAA was highly unlikely to approve the transfer rule for transfers to play immediately this season, or at least until January, if I'm not mistaken. So, guess what? What are y'all thoughts first about his decision to change his mind in the same day? Then, I guess the unlikeliness of him even playing this season.
Me, I started off. I think that he, from what I said from the get-go, he just kind of needed some attention in a way. You know what I'm saying? For one, for his own, I guess, brand, and for two, I guess, to really kind of see where he was going with it. I think with him coming back, I'm still gonna hold true to it. It's like, you know, a lot of the fan base is like, we don't need you, blah blah blah. I'm kind of one of them people, but at the same time, his stats from last season did speak for itself, and he is a bigger guard, and I think he has a lot of potential. So next season, I'm going into the aspect of, man, you got to show and prove it, because clearly you're going to be trying to get better next season, regardless of whether or not the NCAA comes down with the rule. I think you're going to have to ball out, one, to make sure that this fan base appreciates you for balling out, but for two, to make yourself look better. You know what I'm saying? Even if we're not able to be in the big tournament or whatever because of the NCAA, show yourself, you know what I'm saying? This still, you still with Penny Hardaway, you still with Mike Miller, people who know how to get you to the next level. And I think him coming back shows that, but he's gonna have to put that work in. I'm having high expectations of him.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like I had like a blank response when we found out that he was no longer going to the NBA draft. He was no longer putting his name into the draft. Just because you went from, of course, to one extreme, which is, okay, he's potentially going to the NBA draft. And so now this player we were super excited about getting is no longer probably going to be on the team. And so then within, like you said, Shark, within a span of a couple of hours, he's now changed his mind to him now, of course, being now on the team. So really my response is kind of like, okay, I guess, like, whatever you want to do, like, just kind of just say what you want to do. Like, if you don't want to be here, then it's fine. Like Took said, if you want to be here, that's fine. But then if you're going to be here, then as Memphis, we expect you to have we expect you to be 100% in. And so, as of now, now, I mean, he's now on the team. So, me as a Memphis fan, I'm looking forward to having someone of his caliber on the team next year. Well, of course, at the end of the day, we'll see. Like Took said, your numbers kind of speak for themselves, but now you're going to a team with, you probably won't get as many shots as you did at Virginia Tech. This team is way more guard heavy than his team was previously. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in. I think if I can kind of picture what the offense will look like when he gets here, I think if you kind of picture what the offense looked like when Jeremiah Martin was here.
Oh my God! I just got the same idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
You literally took
He
him out.
was coming out the baseline. Like if you kind of picture what that offense looked like when Jeremiah Martin was here, I believe that's what the offense will look like when he's here. Because you also saw a little bit of that with Lester toward the end of the year. Like you kind of saw that some of the stuff that he was running for Jeremiah Martin, he was doing with Lester. And I don't think Lester necessarily had the skill at that time to make the shots and create for others that Jeremiah Martin did. But I think that's something that you can look for with Landers Nolley. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm happy that he's here. Hopefully we'll be blessed enough to at least go see the Memphis Tigers in the form next year, because I'm already interested in re-signing, basically re-upping my season ticket. So
Big
can't wait.
money.
Nah, I'm blessed, brother. I'm blessed.
For me, I just think that, like we did, he took a look at that draft board, saw that he was nowhere to be found, noticed that there was nowhere that he could possibly improve his potential draft stock, and just decided, like, okay, I need to go back to school. Just like the rest of you guys, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him once the season starts. Hopefully he gets cleared so that we can have him for a whole season, even if we just have him for a few months. If he's able to play in January, I think that will be enough for him to showcase what he can actually bring to the Tigers. Even if we don't have a postseason next season, playing in Memphis for those few months, or if he's blessed to play for the whole season if he's cleared, if he's able to play for the whole season, then we may be on to something here. So, and it can improve his draft stock so he could possibly be a first rounder next year. So that's my take.
I just got a weird feeling, man.
Yeah.
I got a weird feeling. One, I didn't know much about Landers outside of just like seeing his stats and maybe like one or two games. Like I said, 15 points a game in college, that's a pretty big deal. But one thing that stood out throughout this entire process is the wishy-washy nature of not only the NCAA, but Landers as well. And I think the longer that this process with him being able to play draws out, the more likely he is to flip decisions again and say, you know what, nah, I'm going to go play overseas for a year, or I'm going to go, do whatever. I'm going to go to the G League or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel as confident as you guys that he will be playing, because like I said, one, the ruling that the NCAA is basically saying is he can't play immediately, next year. So that's like 1 year that's gone from him, which is pushing him down even more. And so he's basically going to be coming back in his fourth year. He's 20 years old right now, just turned 20. If he misses next year, he'll be 21. By the time he gets to the NBA draft, he'll be 22. The NBA isn't too kind for older players. Not that he couldn't succeed, but I think guys have some level of ego, which I know that he clearly has based on how he announced that thing on Instagram and all that type of stuff. So he has an ego. So I'm unsure, if he's even going to play. In my opinion, I think Landers is more likely to play in the Landers Center next year than play in the FedEx Forum. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel too confident about it. My gut, my heart wants him to play at Memphis. I really do. But my gut is saying he ain't playing at Memphis. That's just how I feel. I feel like it's going to be some couple months from now where he just like, Landers Nolley is no longer enrolled at Memphis. He playing in Australia or something, and then he goes to the draft next year. So that's how I feel. I don't know how you feel, Sheedy, but.
Well, I love your double entendre with Landers. Really well spoken.
Nice.
to me, I look at what was missing from the Memphis Tigers was scoring, and having someone that can kind of create or force up, 17 shots a game or something like that, whatever he was averaging. But you still can't sneeze at 15 points a game, like you said, especially in college. Kind of equivalates to at least 20 to 21 in the actual NBA. If you're really that star power player. If you ask me, you only get one impression. So like that whole you doing a letter, then coming back, his indecisiveness does make me weary as well. But I think I think he'll make the best decision, of course, for himself, which may mean that he does leave Memphis. However, the new Memphian in me would love to see him in a Tigers uniform and for him to stay in Memphis and not play at the Landers Center, but make it a FedEx thing for sure, and wearing those stripes. GTG.
Hey, man.
I'm really on the same side as Savage. We won't know officially to May the 20th. That's
True.
The schedule. So I think really it's going to come down to that. If NCAA say the transfers can play immediately, I think he's out. Well, the key point in this is he's already set out season. He was a redshirt freshman last year. He redshirted his very first year. So he'll basically got to sit out another year. There'll be 2 of his first 3 years he sit out. And I don't think you can't make that up. So I mean, like, you can't redshirt twice and still play 4 years. He loses a year eligibility in this case. So
I really got 2 years, I guess, left.
Right. So it's like I don't see him. It comes down to the decision in my opinion. So we want to know until May the 20th on my end. So I don't really have no feeling towards it until May the 20th. Till we just know.
Yeah. And let this be the weekly reminder. Again, every week, NCAA reminds every one of us how trash they are. I just don't understand what, and of course, the vote doesn't come in until later this month, but what would be the reason you vote no on this, right? I mean, if there's been any other time that you would say, okay, right, but it's also how trash the NCAA is. Like, you should say, okay, if there has been one time we just allowed transfers to transfer without sitting out a year, with everything that goes on, and of course you see as many players that to the caliber of Jalen Green, all these good players that potentially could have been in college are no longer going to college. I mean, you should at some point just say, because they're already passing the thing where now that players can be compensated for the name and the likeness and things like that. So why not go on ahead and say, okay, well, let's also allow players that are transferring to not have to sit out a year. Because you need the ratings. Because, I mean, I looked at ESPN today. College sports alone lost several $billion. Several $1 billion. So if there needs to be a time for you to make that money up, it should be next year. So let players be compensated for what they're doing. And then also allow players to transfer without having to sit out a year. This is just a weekly reminder how trash they are. So I just wanted everybody to be reminded of that.
Not cool at all. NCAA.
Before we move forward, I just thought about Penny. So Scouter, you posted something to group me about Penny. He had his virtual media availability last week after the Landers stuff. So they said they're still actively recruiting. So no matter what decision happens with him, they're still recruiting other players. I don't know what players are left, but I know it's still a lot of transfers, but once again,
a lot
transfer ruling.
We gotta get some big man. We gotta get some bodies now.
But he has said, a quote he said about the G League. For me, I didn't think the G League was built, and I could be wrong, to go and recruit kids that want to go to college out of going to college. So I'm sure this decision, he said this pretty much after the UCLA, I forgot his name, Deshaun Nix, I want to say his name was, UCLA guard he committed for UCLA to go to the G League, and I think he get paid $300K. There's another guy who skipped college, he's getting paid $400, and Jalen Green's $500. So when does
the one and done rule go away? Next year?
Next year.
Then the NBA, because of the G League thing, I've heard the NBA, it might not even go away to about 2025 now.
Wow.
Yeah, see,
Oh, wow.
that's what I heard on
College, I got problems. Y'all ain't.
yeah, so that's kind of like why the G League came about. They think the G League thing came up because of that. It might be pushed back. So, what are your thoughts on Penny? Another party's quote, but taking guys out of commitments they've already signed and continuing to talk to their parents, it's almost like temple. I really don't agree with that. So I'm 100% sure this came after UCLA guy left.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the way that I see it, I mean, people decommit from colleges every day, B. Like,
Right.
it's just
Exactly.
happen, man. When I was
it's
working,
just part of the game.
yeah, when I worked in advising, I had students that came in, wanted to go to, at the time when I was at CBU, they wanted to go to CBU, then they said, nah, I'm gonna go to Memphis. I'm like, hey, it's your prerogative, dog. Like, you ain't signed with blood. You can go wherever you want to do whatever you want to do. Like, kids drop out. It happens, you know. So colleges got a problem on their hands.
I couldn't agree more with you, and I think what Penny is kind of saying is like the G League wasn't made for the college athlete, you know, that high school senior getting ready to go to college, you know what I'm saying? And because the NCAA is failing and doing what they're supposed to do best, the G League is rethinking their whole model, their whole brand. They're saying, hold on, these kids want to be professional basketball players. Well, let's pay them to be professional basketball players. And in doing so, you're getting that experience. I don't think, Penny, you can be that upset because if a G League team was to come in his town, come here and be like, you know, we'll pay you $100,000 back in that time to come and play for a G League team, and then you'd be more than likely in the NBA. I don't think we know Penny Hardaway as a Memphis Tiger that we do now. So,
but I can see his frustration though. I think
for sure.
I think if you are recruiting to the likes of 5-star players like Jalen Green and Greg Brown and things like that, to at one point hear from down, because I'm pretty sure at some point, I mean, even Jalen Green, not that it matters, but he said that he was coming to Memphis. So you put a lot of your eggs in one basket, and then now all of a sudden, like, that player is no longer coming. And so we talked about in Groovy how that kind of now puts you in a weird place, because now you're having to kind of go back to the drawing board. Okay, like what how can we fill this void that we now have, thinking that player was going to come? So I can see his frustration with it, because I mean, you can't compete with the G League. You can't compete with being able to pay a player $500,000. They go to college whenever they want to, and they're playing at home. It's kind of hard to compete against that. So, but I mean,
I agree with that, but I also look at it I think Penny should look at it as a gift and a curse too, because even so, we would have had the number one players in back-to-back years. Like Coach Cal hadn't done that in a while, you know. Coach K hadn't done that in a while, so I think it kind of shows where your program is headed too. So I'm definitely with you with that, but it's also, like I said, it's a gift too, because now you can go to other recruits, I guess, better 4 stars. Like I think what Savage been saying is like go after the 4 to 3 stars, you know what I'm saying, rather than the 5 stars, because the 5 stars are more than likely gonna get the 5-star money and opportunities. So, and that's where the NCAA is heading though. Like a lot of people we'll go to the games because we're fans, but a lot of people watch because of the Zion Williamsons, you know what I'm saying, everybody else, and the talent. And if there's no talent, who's going to be watching the college basketball games?
Yep. So
that's why I've been saying the NCAA is falling, bro. Like it's a gift and a curse for us to, like I said, be in position to grab the number one players in back-to-back years. It'll be the same in the future if, you know, God willing, but they're still faced with paying players.
Go ahead. Okay. And on top of what Penny has stated already, Penny, I'm pretty confident that he hasn't as well went to go recruit somebody that he may have heard had already committed to a school or something like that and try to talk them out of it. That's no one wrote that story about you yet, Penny, right? And hopefully no one will. But that's just the things that happen. As Savage pointed out, like, people drop out of college every day. People decommit to whatever school they want to every day. And I know people that are, well, not people, I know coaches that were still going to try to, hey, you sure you really want to go to Memphis? You sure you really want to go to Florida? You sure you really want to go to Ohio State? Like, that doesn't stop even after they signed it on the dotted line. We could all quit that if we thought that was going to be stopping. So, I mean, he does have a point, yes. But he also, I'm sure, has done it himself in a different form.
Yeah, he's speaking as a coach. I mean,
honestly,
that's probably how all coaches feel. That's probably how coaches feel. He just find his ass where it says the G League is new, and now he's speaking specifically about the G League. But I mean, like Savage and she said, this has been going on. And for both sides, as a coach, I be feeling the same way. But then again, it is what it is. Really, it's been like this. Like she just said, he can take a player. Can't get mad when it happens to you, really. So,
shout out to the G League for being able to position themselves to be able to do this as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? $500,000.
Shout out to the NBA for giving that much.
Yeah, I was like the NBA.
Hey, business, business.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
the other guy I was thinking of, Isaiah Todd, he was a number 13 player. He signed with and I did get that Sean Nick's name right. So, cool. So, moving forward, Andy Dalton. All right.
Wow. Here we go. Back to reality.
This should he need the first. First, you're from Ohio. So, Cincinnati released Andy Dalton. And you're a Cowboys fan, and he signed with the Cowboys on yesterday for 1 year with $3 million and up $7 million in incentives. So, what up?
The floor is yours, buddy.
What up?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You know, how do I feel about? First of all, I say Andy Dalton getting cut. We knew that was all coming, right? And we had actually kind of predicted him not going to the Star, and many other teams besides the Star, but he did. He didn't. Jerry did reluctantly sign a white quarterback in Dallas again, and before he signed a black quarterback. Like let's just be real. Like to be honest, the last starting quarterback to be signed that was white was Tony Romo. Dak still hasn't got.
He's mixed. He's mixed. He's like.
Please continue.
So the way I feel about it is, I believe that we've set ourselves up to say it doesn't matter who we put behind quarterback, almost as a proving point towards Dak. Like I don't care what the quarterback is situation, we're still going to. We have great talent out on the outside and a running back and a great offensive line. But at the end of the day, Andy Dalton wasn't in it with the Bengals. With all the seasons he was there. They never made it out of the second round, which, I know Tuke will say, the Cowboys didn't either. And so let me go ahead and beat you to the point there. And you're right. But I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on him even being the backup for the Cowboys, to be honest. I had someone else in mind that I think would have been a much better fit for us.
Who you had in mind?
He's not black either. But to be honest, I would have preferred Alex Smith as a backup for us.
Yeah,
he's still recovering, though.
Yeah,
I don't know if he come back.
He's trying to make a comeback this season.
I know he's trying to, but
yeah.
I saw their leg.
Anybody picking it up.
Yeah. I really like Alex. I like his management, I should say, and I think that's needed for the Cowboys. But I'm not sold on Dalton. I wish he would have went to New England like we all wanted him to go to. But another slap in the face to Dak Prescott and those of us that are African Americans that like the Cowboys.
So let me go for Tuco. So I know it's like good jokes and stuff about on social media. Everybody joking about it. I think it's simply he's signing as a backup. I mean, I don't think he's a threat to Dak's job. I think it's maybe in case they don't come to a deal and Dak doesn't sign a franchise tender. Maybe in that case, okay, we believe they end Dalton to start. But I really believe like they're trying to. I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I don't know any. Unlike the Titans, I know the sources. I be hearing it. I don't know anything. I'm not hearing enough Cowboys, so I don't know. But my perception is they want to try and work it out with Dak, and they want Andy Dalton as a backup. But could be wrong. Like I said, I don't know Cowboys sources, so I don't have any skin in the game.
Can I provide my 2 cents from the perspective of somebody who had a premium backup quarterback win a Super Bowl? So Andy Dalton, I'm not sure of the number of like the highest paid backup quarterback, but I know for a fact that for I think 2 or 3 consecutive years, we paid Nick Foles and McCown the highest number for a backup quarterback. And it was for the reason that Sheedy says that we can win Super Bowl with anybody. And that's basically what the Eagles said. Now, that mentality didn't come until after Carson Wentz got hurt in 2017. the game we beat the Rams, we knew we had a good team. Receivers, defense, special teams, coaching, everything was clicking. You know, I think that is what Jerry Jones is looking to tap into. And Dalton's not a bad quarterback. He's won 12 games, 10 games, 11 games. I'm sure Skylar and Trevor can tell y'all he's good enough. He can manage a game. Sure, you know. Now playoffs, I don't know, because that's a double-edged sword with a former Cincinnati quarterback and the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. That ain't looking too good.
I got it from all angles today.
but Dak Prescott is set to succeed this year. This is his team. Like, Dalton is not. He should not be a threat. Now, if he is a threat, that says more about Dak than it does, you know, Andy Dalton, to be honest, which gives Jerry affirmation to not pay Dak. You know, Dalton is not going to be here longer than 2 years, because if Dak ain't it, you know, we might, as Trevor said, we might see Aaron Rodgers in Dallas. We don't know, you know. But I think Dak, he has CeeDee Lamb, you got Amari Cooper, you got Zeke, you got Gallup, you got Jarwin, you got weapons. I mean, the defense ain't that good, but you got weapons on offense. It's a scoring league. You should go out there and put up points. And defense can hold a team to under 20, 24 points, you know. So I do think that if Dak does not, if they're not looking too good by week 7, week 8, and people like, nah, we ain't paying this man, you might want to cut your losses and put in Andy Dalton. So.
You literally took the point. I was just going to say over under 5 games that Andy Dalton starts for the Cowboys next season.
Uh-oh.
Is it my go?
Go ahead, too.
Can't wait.
Lito, do you need to go ahead and go, brother?
Go ahead, go Scout.
I mean, I don't have too much to say. I think at the end of the day, if we gonna be 100 about it, I think what the Cowboys are doing, I think they've had a pretty good offseason from the moment free agency started. Of course, you would have wanted to sign Dak when that period started, but of course, he's still not signed. So I think what they did in the draft, and I think also this signing of Andy Dalton has been pretty good for them. So I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you have to feel a sense of joy. I guess in the sense you got a sense of joy because, I mean, the draft went well. Of course, Dak's still not signed. You got Andy Dalton, so you got a quality quarterback in the event that Dak Prescott doesn't work out. I just think the thing for me, I consider Pro Football Talk a pretty credible source. And so something that I saw yesterday was, in a sense, don't be surprised if the Cowboys rescind their offer that they have on the table for Dak Prescott, in the sense that, like, that tag that he has on the table, what if they remove that tag? Now that you have Andy Dalton, if you feel as if Andy Dalton is that good of a quarterback, like, do you want to have that much money towards your cap hit for Dak Prescott, and he's not even signed yet? So that's all that I have to say about it. I think it's still a good backup. I think so. If things don't work out with Dak and maybe he gets hurt, or maybe he doesn't play for 6 games and something like that, I think you have a pretty good backup at Andy Dalton. But what I saw from Pro Football talking about rescinding them and them potentially rescinding their offer, I think that's something that you can look at. But if Dak is signed before July 15th, I think is the deadline, then I really don't think this means too much of anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all are watching this on video. If not, make sure you do. In our group me, if you're new to the show, we talk about a lot of crazy, funny things. And out of nowhere, Sheeta decides to text me and say, "Hey, Took, you're going to get the L of the month." What did I do? I just no such things. And so I started going in on the star. And I realized the biggest star for me is all I really need to care about is Captain America. Bro, this is legit the only star that matters right now, because Jerry Jones has just received the L of the month candidate for May already. And this is why. I know we're not going to do trolling all today, but we can debate this or talk about this next week. But I feel like Andy Dalton will be on the team next year. You do not pay a backup quarterback $7 million to get settled in Dallas, where he's from. You don't pay him $7 million unless you plan on having a future with him. We both agreed on sometimes Andy Dalton can good. He can control the game, which is why Dallas are probably more than likely, as they should, go back to the running game. You don't pay Dak that contract because you don't look at him being the face of the franchise, which is something I've been saying. Jerry Jones does not want Dak Prescott to be the leader of his franchise. That is why you go out and pay. a nice little veteran. Oh, he also lived down the street from me, Andy Dalton. Oh yeah, let's get him in here. And if Andy Dalton is given the chance to succeed, which he will, which y'all have a great team, goodbye Dak Prescott. But as far as the future goes, Dak Prescott, of course, is a much better quarterback to me. But y'all are letting your future go because of Jerry Jones yet again.
Oh. Our future is still going to be much better than the Panthers. Regardless of the quarterback.
I disagree. Where are y'all going, Sheet? Hold on. Let me ask you this. We're in full rebuild. We realized, Dane, the last couple of years we depended on an injured quarterback. Unfortunately, y'all know I love Cam. We're rebuilding. We have the tools, the coach. Everything is looking up for us, whether you agree or not. Matter of fact, ESPN gave us an A+ in our draft, right? That was our first one.
That was cute.
Okay.
Yeah. But no. Let me ask you this. Where are y'all going? Where are y'all going? Where do you think y'all are going?
Doesn't every team rebuild to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl?
Is this y'all rebuilding phase?
Well, since 2015, since the last time y'all went to the Super Bowl, y'all 29-35,
so
y'all
been rebuilding since 2015.
Did you hear what I just said? Last time, 2015. That's the one thing you always bring up. So since 2015, the Panthers are 29-35, which means y'all suck.
Because our starting quarterback has been injured the last two.
So y'all been rebuilding since 2015. I'm sorry, I know we have a lot more show to talk about.
We can't tell the future in Camden. We didn't know he was going to be out the last.
So I think the question that Tuka.
But my thing is y'all have a healthy quarterback. He's won for y'all. Y'all haven't given him the extension.
I think what Tuka's asking is basically what was asked of me with like Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. You don't bring in Andy Dalton at that number to not expect him to start at some point. I mean, because I think the big thing that stood out for them bringing him in was I think we forget Dak was hurt at the end of last year. That shoulder
he was
against the Eagles. He cannot throw the ball. Like he cannot throw the ball downfield.
Last 3 games.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure he's recovered by now, but one more good hit from Fletcher Cox might be a problem, and Dalton got to come in. You know what I'm saying? So and I think Jerry is very much so in the mind of like right now because I mean Jerry's old. He want to get a win, Super Bowl win before he taps out. Which is why you bring in Dalton, a quarterback who has seen some success in the regular season, not the playoffs. But I think he understands that I just need a passable quarterback that can not turn the ball over, which is what Dak does not turn the ball over. Dalton, I don't know if he turn the ball over or not, but he's a good quarterback to at least have weapons around a running game, and he can win you some games. But it's not a good indictment of Dak. That's what I think. Just because
I agree.
I don't think he wants to sign him either, to be honest.
I think just coming from the Titans perspective, I always compare Andy Dalton and Ryan Tannehill kind of in the same class of quarterback. And we saw when Ryan Tannehill got traded to the Titans, I didn't expect what happened last year to transpire. He had a great season when he got in. Mariota just flopped. I don't think Dak Prescott. I think he's better than Mariota, but I don't think he's just an elite quarterback. I don't think he's worth what he's asking for. But
franchise ain't paid him yet.
Right, but franchise quarterbacks get it. Andy Dalton and Ryan Tannehill got paid by Cincinnati and Miami, and at the time they got paid, I do feel like they were supposed to get paid what they got paid. So in a similar sense, I think y'all situation is mildly similar. I could see it being that way, but I mean, we'll just see. I could see it being how the situation is, but I don't think Dak Prescott would flop as bad as Mariota did.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, to Savage's point too, like this is a league that you do need, a great backup quarterback as well. And Andy Dalton is a proven winner within this league, and then in a great tough division in the AFC North as well. And so, I mean, I take it, but I still see it as a slap in the face to Dak until his contract is done. And if, to y'all's point, hey, if we at Thanksgiving break and we're not having a winning record by Thanksgiving break, I would love to see Aaron Rodgers, who is undefeated against the Cowboys at Jerry World, come on down at this point.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's going to take that long. I don't think it's gonna take
I'm
it.
telling you, it's
I
not
don't
going to
think
take
it's
that
gonna
long.
take Dak Prescott winning. It's not gonna take that. Y'all are gonna get in y'all own way, which always happen, and find a way to let Andy Dalton get a chance to start. I don't know if that's gonna be training camp. I don't know if that's gonna be week 3. I hope it's still Thanksgiving so Dak can show us something. But Andy Dalton is gonna get a chance to start, and he's gonna be on that team next year.
What's Stephen A's quote? Cowboys.
What can go wrong will go wrong.
Because it's
Will
true. And I can't be. I'm happy to be a witness to this, bro. But yes, the Panthers are rebuilding. We are in full rebuild mode. But again, I ask you, what the hell are y'all doing?
So Sheedy,
much better than the Panthers. Uh-huh.
Good feeling,
Okay.
Sheedy. Good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Dak Prescott will be our quarterback in 2021? Good feeling.
No.
Ooh.
But y'all are doing
Sheesh.
better than us.
Racist.
Continue.
Yes. Just look at last season.
Okay.
We were 8-8.
Okay.
What were y'all?
Okay.
6-10.
Yeah,
5-11.
with our backup quarterback. By the way,
You should have got a better backup quarterback then. You should have signed Andy Dalton last year to the Panthers.
you know, if we would have
Move us forward, Sharky.
Let's
Move us forward, Sharky.
as an organization, if we were in position to sign a Dak Prescott, I'm pretty sure we would. We would have been signed Dak Prescott, by the way.
No, we're gonna do a celebrity death.
But y'all didn't.
We're gonna have
Y'all had neither.
No. I get it. Y'all don't really have $35 million.
That would be the funniest thing. That would be the funniest thing ever if Dak just somehow ended up in Carolina, but that's just me.
Oh man, that'd
It'd be
beautiful.
hilarious.
Oh,
It would be hilarious.
would love it for two. Would love it.
I would too.
Mm-hmm. And then you also be in your rebuilding season, right? Rebuilding.
we're gonna have.
I will be contended, but we'll talk about that later. Let's
We're gonna have a celebrity death between y'all next week's episode. Yeah, MTV.
Oh man.
All right, so it's time for.
I love you, Stevie.
I love you too.
All right, Mr. Trevor, do you want to lead this?
Absolutely. So just a
Thank you.
quick idea.
Sharky.
Just a quick idea that I came up with, just from not having much sports to talk about other than what's been transpiring. I've been hearing a lot on other podcasts about redrafts, and of course, you guys saw on Bleacher Report. They were doing multiple redrafts as well. Just wanted to choose a draft that I think everybody is synonymous with. Of course, this is the infamous one in Memphis where they took a Shane to beat instead of a bevy of people. Just wanted to put the guys' GM's cap on. So we're going to do a redraft of the 2009 NBA draft. As you can see on the share screen here, that's the original draft order and who was taken. The bottom of the page is notables that went late first round, second round, and undrafted. If you want to go off the board, then what's listed, feel free.
Nice.
So there's other names in the draft. So if you want to go off the board and pull someone's name just for the sake, do it. So basically with the draft, you got the draft order. You take either the best player available or what the team should have done at that position. You can tell why. If someone has someone different they wanted to take, they can do that as well. Just for the sake, we're just going to do the lottery. Well, I actually did the first 15 because the lottery is related to the first 14. So, but with that being said, Savage, you on the clock, man.
Hey, how you get the first pick?
What you mean?
Now, the draft order was done. I used the order in which we were doing the NFL draft analysis and just went backwards. So that's how Savage ended up with the first pick because he was the last one to do.
Of course. He's the luckiest person I know.
Right,
The luckiest person I know.
All right, Savage, you on the clock, man.
Okay, I'm on the clock. All right, so since I got the number 1 pick in honor of the NFL draft, I'm going to take all 10 minutes to make my decision.
Bro, what's up, man?
That draft is 5 minutes.
So, I I don't think we don't need to take too much time to figure out who I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take my boy Hashim. I'm just playing.
Bro.
Let me find
Let me give listeners a story about Hashim to beat, by the way. And Yana, you know this. I don't know if 2K had the
Oh my god.
experience. It's Hashim to beat 2K days, shooting threes with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used to quit all the time. Bro, he like 2 threes. To beat, bro.
I think I played Skylar's brother one time. And I hit like 16 threes. Still something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there are things.
We hit 18 threes with Rudy Gay on me.
I remember that.
And I quit playing
We
the
still
game
talk
like
about
a
that to
month.
this day.
Right. There are things in life that we try to forget the older we get, and Hashim to be making 3-pointers on 2K is something that I totally forgot about. So thank you, Sharky, for kindly reminding me.
Okay, so I'm not even gonna waste any more time. I'm taking for the Clippers. The Clippers at that time, they were a franchise in need of a star player. They obviously took Blake Griffin, who ended up pretty well for them, along with DeAndre Jordan, eventually getting Chris Paul for quote unquote basketball reasons. So I am going to take Wardell, Stephen Curry, 3-time champion, 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous MVP, future Hall of Famer, the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry.
Safest pick, not a man.
Right?
Yeah. Safest pick. I mean, I don't think anybody got any. I'm pretty sure everybody's in agreement with that
Nope.
one. So,
Chris Paul ain't there yet, so nope.
Nah, yeah, I say,
That's true. That's true.
all right.
yeah, I said let the GM pick whoever they choose, right? So, yeah, I don't. Blake Griffin. I mean, Steph Curry was a great pick for the Clippers. As I look at the Grizzlies roster, OJ Mayo on this team, Rudy Gay, Mark Gasol actually was on this team. Michael Conley was just drafted. I think the best person to help out on this team for the Memphis Grizzlies and to take them to somewhere the next season would be James Harden
Yup.
at the second pick. So that's who they would pick.
That's who I want at the time of their pick, and they drafted to beat. And we see
That is a dream. 2 lefties, point guard and shooting guard. That'd be a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be
at
a
that point, I
great-
actually wanted Hardy. I wanted Hardy and May on the backcourt together over Conley, but working out differently. So
Yeah.
All right, so with me, I got the OKC Thunder, of course.
former squad.
That year, I know, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, where's my? All right, and they literally was just picking for best available. If we look at Blake Griffin, who I choose with the third pick, Blake Griffin has had a great career. Even though it was Lob City in LA, they did have a chance to get very far. You know what I'm saying? They were just a few pieces away. But if you add Blake Griffin to this team of a young, Kevin Durant and a growing Russell Westbrook, it gets crazy. I think it could take Lob City to a different direction because Blake Griffin also has the point guard skills as well. He's a very underrated dribbler and passer. So you put him on the floor with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And he stays home.
And he stays home. Right on.
And one thing about Blake is
And he stays home.
He said this when he went to Detroit. He said that he actually prefers the smaller towns. So he might have been even better in a smaller town, than Clippers. Now, he probably wouldn't be as big of a star as he became in Clippers in LA, but he actually preferred, he likes being in Detroit. They want to trade him, but
I don't know. I think he still would have went out for the dunk contest.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yours truly has the 4th pick of the draft. Originally, Sacramento took Tyreek Evans, I got from Memphis, and for those that don't know, who was the Rookie of the Year this season. But Sacramento needed a dog at this position, and Tyreek wasn't that guy. So for the 4th pick, I'm taking Drew Holiday.
Oh my God!
Nice.
Nice. I'm taking Drew Holiday with the 4th pick. One time, he has an All-Star under his belt. 2-time All-Defensive NBA back-to-back.
Over DeRozan.
I just think that they needed a dog in the backcourt. Tyreek was nice, don't get me wrong. And then eventually, of course, they get another dog in the Marcus Cousins in the next year's draft. But I'm taking Drew Holiday with the 4th pick.
That's kind of surprising.
Ooh,
it is for me.
So Minnesota took back-to-back point guards. Okay.
Exactly. and missed on both actually.
Right.
That's crazy.
Passed on Steph twice.
Actually,
Exactly.
exactly. Lost in 2 and trading him.
Yep.
Well, heck with the 5th pick, sometimes players just happen to fall on your lap. And if Trevor and the Sacramento Kings are going to take Drew Holiday, then I'll just take DeMar DeRozan. There's absolutely nothing with DeMar DeRozan. 20-point per game scorer, can play both ends of the court. Will basically give you all his all. We saw what he did in Toronto before he was traded to the Spurs, and I think the player that DeMar DeRozan grew up to be is somebody that I think Minnesota would have at some point it grew to love. So with my pick, I'm going with DeMar DeRozan.
Man, shout out to y'all because I'm struggling.
All right. And that is the purpose of this redraft, because after the most notables, it gets tough.
Obviously, Minnesota needed a point guard since they drafted 3 of them. It's the same draft. So I'm gonna have to take a point guard. It won't be none until they drafted.
I know what it is.
So I got a tough choice really between Brandon Jennings had a couple good years before. How did he bought out the league? Was it injuries? Yeah,
Injuries.
It was injuries. Okay.
And his head, he crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeff Teague had some good years. Ty Lawson had some good years. Pat Beverly's still going. And Mill's still going. I used to serve him on 2K. So best available point guard out of them is the next question. You know what? Who had the longevity? I'll take Jeff Teague. He had the longer.
Yeah, I would say too.
Wow.
He had the longer.
That's about right.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Oh, Tyreek? Even the potential of Tyreek?
They might have to
Wow.
leave him, yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay. Leave them up. Potential.
All right, Sharky, you started off at 7.
Oh, and he gets a pick for the Warriors? Oh, my God.
Man, it's like, come on, man.
I guess I gotta take.
With Monte Ellis?
Monte Ellis. So him and Steph didn't work out. So he do need a bigger guard back there with him. So Tyreek.
There you go. Solid. You
Okay.
get two ball stoppers on the same team.
3-time champion for them, but
Who got the Knicks?
it would be Scott.
Golly, boy, Jordan Hill was in that draft. Golly, what a name!
Terrence
Wow.
Williams.
Can we pull up that players that player availability list one more time? All right, let's see. So I got the 8th pick.
Eric, right?
New York needed a point guard, man.
Yeah, they needed a point guard. That's what I'm trying to see.
Crap had a lot of them.
Go get you Joe Ingles.
Right.
I thought this was the most point guard drafted in the first round this draft.
You know what? For the 8th pick, let me go with. If New York needed a point guard, let's go with Ty Lawson. Ty Lawson had a pretty good career in Denver. Was able to score the ball. He still look like my little brother, Savage. You remember that? Ty Lawson.
Oh,
They need a point
no.
guard.
Oh, it's better options out there.
I don't see
Hold on,
it.
time out.
It's too late. No, it's too late. It's too late. Don't forget, you can pull somebody from the original
Okay.
slot.
You know
too, man.
what?
So
It's too late. He already got his
all
pick.
right.
No.
Okay. So at 9 for Toronto, and this is actually, oh man, this is tough because I'm torn between 2 guys. But I'm gonna go with the one that has a championship. Well, actually, multiple championships, and I think he'd have been a nice little compliment as a 3-and-D guy. So at 9, I'm gonna take Danny Green.
Okay. That's solid.
I'll get him there earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
That's solid.
That's their backcourt. Ty Lawson, Danny Green, and Wayne Ellington.
This is killing me. Okay, so this is when the Bucks was Michael Redd, was going ham, averaging 21, 22 points a game.
Yeah.
And he really didn't have any help. But my
He's from Ohio State.
Amen. I'm glad
he is.
I did not know that.
So it was also at a time when Mo Williams was averaging 17 points a game. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think with a player like Michael Redd, I think that you would try to get the ball in his hand as much as possible. I don't think Brandon Jennings would be a good pick because he'd be just pretty much like a Mo Williams. But I wouldn't use Mo Williams as trade bait, and I draft Ricky Rubio.
Excellent pick. Excellent.
Ooh.
What?
To pair with Michael Redd, you get that ball in Michael Redd hands as much as you.
Now you do know at this point in time for Michael Redd, he was kind of like starting to get bothered with injuries.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
Time loss.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. I would have taken Wes Matthews there. Just for
Wes Matthews.
I would take Wes Matthews there. That's just
Can you shut up, Trevor? Damn. Like, it's over with. Like,
all right, fine. Okay, I won't say shit else.
Next, CD.
I won't say nothing else.
Dang,
Go ahead.
my whole thing was like Ricky Rubio. We punked on him, but he's still in the.
No.
I love the picture. I love the picture.
He giving the ball to Devin Booker now. You know, back then he could have been doing it to Michael Redd. So.
And my thing about with Rubio, he is still playing.
He's still playing.
He's still playing.
You can't be too slow to have a way.
But you
Ty
want
Lawson is weird. Where's Ty Lawson at,
But you
y'all?
wanted me to take Tyreek
Don't
Hill.
worry about it.
Come on now.
yeah, so the New Jersey Nets at this time,
Dang, that's wow.
they got Terrence Williams with this pick.
Yeah.
If you kind of remember their lineup and who they had a lot of bigs actually. Brook Lopez, it was his first season. Edro Nahara.
Good name.
Eduardo.
I can't roll it like I need to. And then they also have Ryan Anderson too. So they're pretty loaded at the big position. You can kind of see why they went small forward. Guards at Vince Carter was still there. Chris Douglas Robertson just got there. Devin Harris, who they were sold on for point guard. But for my pick, thank you, Trevor. I was going to take Wesley Matthews at this pick.
No wonder you told me to shut.
Yes, like, man, no. If you're talking about Wesley Matthews is still being highly productive in the league right now. And I think would have been a great fit for the Nets, who had a lot of talent, well, not a lot of talent, but a lot of bodies at the 4 and 5 position, but could use the help at the 3. So I'm going to choose Wesley Matthews.
Okay.
Am I up next?
Yep.
All right. So next up, we got, I believe it's the Charlotte Bobcats. If y'all remember
Ooh.
those guys.
Please help out Jordan. Please help out Jordan.
They need everything.
Right. I'm like, I don't know where to begin with these folks. I'm looking at their roster, right? So they took Gerald Henderson from Duke. Shout out to Duke. But he didn't last too long in the league. The main guys on their roster, they had Tyson Chandler. They had Boris Diaw, who had signed his contract from Phoenix. They had Steven Jackson, and they had Gerald Wallace. So they had some decent players. I think they made the playoffs a couple years with this team too. So they were okay, middle of the pack. Honestly, I feel like the best player available would be good for them. Scroll down so I can see who's available at the bottom.
Austin Day and move on.
Austin Day, no, sir.
Oh my God.
I think knowing what we know now, I think this player would fit very well with the culture of the team. They have Gerald Wallace, who's a dog, Steven Jackson, who's a dog. I'm gonna draft another dog. Give me
Joe Ingles.
Pat Beverly,
Okay,
point guard,
Ooh.
Charlotte Bobcats.
Nigga still ain't scoring.
Beverly, point guard. All right. So now we got some ruggedness to deal with LeBron out east. Next up is the Pacers, who drafted Tyler Hansborough, who was crazy in college.
Hold on, bro. How you get 4 picks? I only got 2, bro.
I got 3 picks. I got 3.
Oh, okay.
At the first, and then I got 12 to 13. So the Pacers, had a pretty decent team. They had Danny Granger in his prime, who was a beast. Roy Hibbert, 1 year in the league, who was decent. He was a passable big man. Brandon Rush was decent.
Oh wow, name.
So what they needed a point guard, and they ended up getting him at some point. So give me Darren Collison to the Indiana Pacers.
Wow. Good pick. Good pick. I'm next with the Phoenix Suns. This Suns team still had Steve Nash. The backup at this time was Goran Dragic. They had Rajah Bell, I don't know if y'all remember him. Jason Richardson. Alondo Tucker, who actually had a great season at Wisconsin, giving us that work at Ohio State. But then they were actually pretty good at power forward too. Again, that's Amari Stromile, Matt Barnes even. Yeah. This is Robin Lopez, his first year too. They also had Grant Hill. Y'all remember when Grant Hill came back and had like an okay season?
Yeah.
And this was it with the Suns, right?
Okay.
So my pick for this one, this team also has Shaq.
That's true.
Right
This is
away.
that good team, that good Phoenix team. Then.
Yeah, this is the conference finals team. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if Shaq makes it another season afterwards, right? He's on 16. And the other bigs that they had, Robin Lopez and Courtney Sims, averaged a combined 4 points a game. So I'm actually going to take, at this pick, Hasheem Thabit.
God
My
damn
God.
it.
Wow.
God.
Nice.
City, I
That is
hate
nice.
you.
That is nice.
I hate you.
Hasheem Thabit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Looking back, to be was
my
severely
God.
overdrafted because he wasn't really that good in college. He was good defensively, but I think the Grizzlies they just reached for like a position that they quote unquote needed it. But they should have took best player available. But hey, that's a good pick for Phoenix right there.
You just got to roll to the hoop. You got to do nothing else.
I remember before we get to this last pick, she used to be in college when UConn had played Pittsburgh and Mr. DeJuan Blair.
Juan Blair,
Juan Blair.
Of him was dunking all on Sheen
with no knees.
I knew at that point
Exactly.
there was no way. He was last. But let's pick two.
That one hurt. If I'm the Pistons GM at this time, that one hurt because I was gonna pick Hasheem to be based on the fact that was I think the last time that the Pistons went to the playoffs. No, I'm sorry, not the last time that's the last time they had a playoff one was against the Celtics team that eventually won. So I think that was also when LeBron was on his way up. So having like a good paint defender, outside of Rasheed Wallace, who I guess was their better big man. They also had Jason Maxill and Antonio McDyess, but they were at Theo Ratliff. But they were at the end of their career. So somebody like Hasheem would have been coming in. Chauncey and Rip, they were still doing their thing, but now it's like, So I'm gonna pick somebody to man that paint and just defense and energy to try to go with LeBron. I gotta go with Psycho T. I gotta go with Psycho T. I got to because you had on that Pistons team. You also have a lot of upcoming scorers too, like Aaron Aflalo, Rodney Stuckey. Tayshaun Prince was still doing his thing. So you getting another scorer would be a waste of time. So you would need somebody like Psycho T to help with that paint. And Scott and like Psycho T, come on now, he was great in college.
Yeah, no. I just when you said Psycho T, that brought back memory. That's the nickname.
Yes.
Yeah. Dallas Duke days.
All right, boy.
Exactly. You want somebody crazy, that'll bring back the lamb beer, in the building. I think. Dang, I'm happy you picked.
Good point. Good point.
I'm happy you picked to be.
Right quick.
I'm solid with my pick.
Right quick, man. Speaking of Lambeer, when I watched Last Dance, Robert Parrish punched Bill Lambeer 5 times and did not get ejected.
He gave him 5 pieces.
5 times, bro.
Give him a 5-piece.
Right.
That did not get ejected. So,
All right, 5-piece. That's a family meal.
quick.
From Popeyes.
Right.
Go back to it before we move on. Who do y'all think is the biggest snub out of these?
Going back to what Tuke said about Garland Bryan, I might have picked up Damari Carroll.
Yep.
As another small
That's
forward, power forward. But I do like the thought of Psycho T just being because at this point he's young, he's crazy, he'll die for the ball, and you want that with the Detroit mentality. I think that'll be a good pick either way though.
Damari Carroll was one. Taj Gibson is another one that sticks out too. Because if you think about what he did for the Bulls when he was drafted by them, he was a pretty solid glue guy. And what was that? Like he had a baseline jumper that he wouldn't miss either.
Money.
Too. So, and plus,
Yeah,
he was good
money
defensively.
15. Yeah.
And I think for me, you got to go with the underdogs because the dude freaking balls, and that's Patty Mills.
Yep.
Put in a position
Still
like
making
he
threes.
does step up, still
Yeah.
making threes. He knows how to shoot. He knows when to get his own shot. Like he hooping.
Yeah, I mentioned his name a few times already during the draft, but I love the development that Joe Ingles has shown. I know he had to leave and come back as well, but his stock is not as high as it could be at this point.
Correct.
I almost took Ingles for Indiana because he's an Indiana type player.
Yep.
But I was like, nah, I needed a point guard. So yeah, he was up for debate for me.
Right, and another thing for me too, and this is just kind of going off the draft a little bit, but one thing about drafting is it's always a fit for me. Like, I mean, sometimes it's you want to take the best player available, but you got to think about will that person fit with the team and the city too? Because sometimes players, I mean, sometimes players just don't do well in New York City. They may be good, but they may not do well in New York City, or you like. I mean, somebody mentioned Blake Griffin went to Oklahoma City. We mentioned. That how he thought he would have been better in a small market team. So that's another thing too that I wish GMs would really consider is would this person fit our team? I don't understand like it's best available, but like will they fit too?
So before we move off, are we saying that Brandon Jennings won the top 15 pick?
So he's my snub actually.
Okay.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Because, like, dude, come on now, dude.
He put up 55 in the game?
Right.
Yeah.
Rookie year?
He had a solid rookie of the year campaign. But what do you do after that?
Yeah. A couple of years. He just started getting hurt.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Tyreek.
I'll tell you. Yeah.
And then he was kind of small too. He wasn't really your pure point guard type. Like I would rather have Rubio be my point than Brandon Jennings, who I probably would put off the ball, kind of like Monte.
More combo.
I mean, that's kind of that's kind of what I did anyway. Yeah.
Aside from that, other names that pop out, Ellington is still playing. He's still shooting threes for somebody.
Yeah, he's still shooting threes. Yep.
Aaron Banks is in the draft.
Aaron Banks actually had a mean resurgence in his career, just with Boston and Phoenix.
Celtics,
Wayne Ellington playing for who?
James Johnson.
Somebody.
I gotta look that up. He ain't playing still.
Is the Celtics?
Who?
Aaron Banks.
Aaron Baines, I believe.
Phoenix now, but he's still putting up numbers. I mean,
he was on his thing with the Celtics.
Wayne Ellington with the
Knicks, yeah. He was with the Lakers for a second. He was with Miami for a second.
And that's when I started keeping tabs. That's when I started keeping them tabs with him. But the fact that he's in New York explains why I thought he wasn't playing.
Yeah. and one thing that I think a lot of players going to the NBA need to realize is that you need to find your role and you will have longevity. I mean, a lot of these players who are not like in the top 15 of even our draft are still playing because they know their role. They're good veterans. They don't come in with no ego. They like, this is what I do. I set screens. I roll to the basket. Boom. Then you got Brandon Jennings who like, I want to score buckets, and he ain't in the league no more. You know.
Right. Patty Mills is a good person to define with you saying that. I mean, you just think about like what Patty Mills has done. Like he has only been with the Spurs, right? I can't even think of perfect role player. Perfect role player. He knows I'm supposed to take threes and that's it and defend. That's all. And he does it. He's been doing it since 2009.
And did y'all see him when he kicked USA ass?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Destroy USA.
I'm proud.
Man, he was like, I can put up numbers. I just want to play for the greatest coach ever. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So move on from that.
Glad you guys had fun with that.
Yeah,
Man,
just let me know.
That was a good one. Mm-hmm. Good job on that one, Trevor. So let's get to that. L of the month. So for the month of April, I narrowed it down to 3 choices, and I will put this out on Twitter for the comment for the fourth if they want a fourth choice or they choose between these 3. But Rex Ryan, y'all remember, he made a comment about Amari
Cooper.
And he called him. Okay, I understand you might then agree with Dallas paying all the money, whatever. But you called him man a third last week, you instant get on this list.
It was kind of unprompted. I'm like, what did he do to Rex Ryan?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're Rex Ryan. Like, what have you done?
Yeah, like you a turd, man.
So, NFL drafted girlfriend. So this is
Okay.
we talked about this
It
before.
was so
I saw the CD Lamb video. I saw his girlfriend try to take the phone, and she happened to be an ex-girlfriend. Trey Young said that.
Oh wow.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
Yes.
they all went to they all went to Oklahoma stuff. But yeah. And of course, the guy that Titan signed, Isaiah Wilson, his girlfriend, she was all in his lap, happy, excited and stuff. And his mama was like pushing her off. And basically, she was trying to take all the glory. And last but not least, Draymond Green. Y'all heard the comments, a lot of stuff he said. That's to Mike. Hey, Mike didn't do that well without Scotty or whatever. He averaged 8 points a game this year without Steph and Clay, and Golden State was breaking the league. Michael Jordan still making the playoffs. Scottie Pippen dropping 69 on the Celtics, and his back and forth with Charles Barkley, who is a Hall of Famer, and Draymond Green. You probably make a Hall of Fame because you won these championships. Sure. Okay. Hell of the month. But y'all think it's the hell of the month of the winner between these two.
This is a good one.
man.
We actually got a tough one now because
I got an honorable
torn.
mention, but we'll wait till after this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm torn between the NFL drafted girlfriends and Draymond Green, and I picked my L of the month based off what happened after the fact. So once you did whatever you did to be on this list, what happened after that? And I think I'm going to go with Draymond Green only because I really feel like the Warriors are at their breaking point with Draymond, and I really can see him being traded very, very soon. And I think it's something. I think if that were to happen, I think he would have at some point said to himself, "I probably should have just shut up." Right? Like I probably should have just shut up and kept my mouth closed and played with two of the greatest shooters of all time and potentially continue to collect rings. But I think because he's continuing to talk and he's continuing to say things that he probably shouldn't say, I think that he'll be off the team. And that's kind of a troll and all, but I think because he keeps talking, I think that's why I'm picking him to be L of the month.
What I mean, he ain't saying nothing to hurt nobody. He just said something that a lot of people don't agree with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But he's done it for how long?
That's the kind of person he is.
Right. Again, totally understandable. And he probably won't be on the team because I think as a GM, you get tired of like, all right, bro, like it's stuff that he says and does on the court, and then off the court as well too. And at some point, I think most GMs would be like, all right, bro, like I'm really tired of dealing with this whole Draymond Green situation. I mean, you're on Sharky just said, you average 8 points a game. You're doing all this talking, bro. And like,
with babies on the court.
It's okay. He won't be, I don't think he'll
you're as good as you claiming to be.
Right. You can't talk like that and you're not
more than 8 points a game. He's averaging exactly. He averaged with Stephen Clay on the court. Nah, bro.
So of course he's not the better player than Charles Barkley, but that's I guess I kind of put him at L of the month. But at the same time, it's like they've been feuding for forever, so he got a right to say and feel how he believes and Charles do too. But an L of the month over what we've seen in the media with these girlfriends, that's been funny. That's been hilarious. It's kind of like the camera saw it, but it's like the cameras are always rolling. And it's something that, girlfriends got to either get used to or get dragged for. So, unfortunately, the women got to take this L.
Real quick on the girlfriends, like, the CD Lamb one wasn't as bad to me as the other one with homegirl on the lap. When I tell you that mother pulled that girl off of her with the strength of all like
black mamas,
like she asked nicely and said, get up, and she wasn't moving, and then mama said, nah, get your ass up right. But I'm gonna actually agree with Skylar because not beyond just the Draymond Green and his antics. I'm thinking about it from a playing standpoint. Like y'all said, he averaged 8 points a game. It's just him on the court. Charles Barkley was an MVP. I mean, we ain't gonna get to that discussion. But I'm looking at the landscape of the Western Conference in terms of like big man, and Draymond about to have his hands full guarding this guy from Southern California named Anthony Davis. Back in 2015, back in 2015 when the Pelicans played the Warriors in the first round, AD gave him 32 points a game.
Yeah.
This was
Boy,
baby
yeah.
AD, not prime AD. So you
Not
got
if
AD,
the Warriors get somebody in the
LeBron.
draft.
You said what?
Not if the Warriors do what they supposed to in the draft.
And then trade Draymond Green.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That ain't gonna happen.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Draymond. Draymond talking outside of his neck.
For me, I'm also going Draymond because I'm
Y'all
standing
tripping.
with this. Because
Y'all
all
tripping,
of this
man.
all of this with Draymond started over a book to which he was asked about a subject that didn't even involve him, even though it involved his teammate. But I just think just what he's been saying lately, and conveniently with this book coming out and everything with The Last Dance, like Burr is definitely wilding out. His production on the court, you guys just touched on it. And I definitely can see Draymond not in Golden State next season. So
I'm gonna remember this moment when he is.
Look, I'll tell you
When
this:
he's-
if the Warriors draft James Wiseman, I promise you, Draymond Green will not be on that team. I promise you that.
I think
And
that's
that's who
gonna
they're
make him
looking
save
to
him
draft.
more.
no,
I think that's
he's
gonna help. We'll talk about that.
he's
later. We'll talk
gone
about
if they
that later.
draft.
I'm gonna
James
save my
Wiseman.
I
Draymond
disagree
Green
with that.
trolling
I
off for
disagree
next
with that
week.
100%. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Have one.
Let's get more
Okay.
Draymond on the court next week.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
Perfect trolling off Draymond Green
Yeah.
next week.
Let's get it.
all right, let's Sheedy get his, and I got my honorable mention because he has to be named. This person has to be mentioned.
Oh, okay. Savage, I think you brought up a good point about that old woman strength, dragging off that girlfriend off the lap. I chuckled many of times about that. The Rex Ryan Turd comment, stupidity, and yes, he talked about when a Cowboys player, Amari Cooper, which can be out of frustration, but also Rex Ryan, since your 85 Bears team that you helped with the defense, with your father help, I should say, you not haven't been doing too much in your life. But if you saw it as like, there's other receivers that you could draft, I think he could have spun that a little bit differently before making that Turd comment talking about he doesn't show up, which I agree. Amari Cooper does not do, statistically as well at home. I mean, on the road as does at home. But at the end of the day, you had to give the elder month to Mr. Triple Singles. Draymond. He just deserves it, and his attitude will find him somewhere else. And I don't know where it's going to find him. But I don't. If they do draft James Wiseman, and even if they don't draft James Wiseman at the end of his contract for Draymond, I don't believe he stays at the Warriors unless he takes a reduced rate at that point.
Yeah.
So actually, all right. So going down these, it's kind of is tough. So Rex Ryan making a Turd comment, he was making good points about Mark Cooper until he made it was just a Turd comment itself.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of hard to say he did true elder month, but that's still it still comes off as like a Turd. I don't think Turd is a racist term, but it was a white man talking about a black guy.
Yeah.
So you can spin that, but I think because I did agree with his points until the Turd comment.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to pick him. So NFL drafted girlfriends, they can recover. I mean,
yeah.
But someone did post a picture saying it's not where you start, it's how you finish, and they show Russell Wilson. And
Facts.
I mean, when Sierra come knocking, hey.
Right.
That picture of his girlfriend has a sight of she for her face expression was priceless.
Yes.
So they can recover. I mean, I think you can recover from that. I mean, it's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
They have me on live TV. They can recover. Draymond Green, 8 points a game, bro, and you talking, I just can't. I mean, to me, coming to the season, I said, all right, Steph play out, KD gone. All right, Draymond, everybody been talking about that you can, you're just a role player, and that's what we feel like you are. Let's prove to the people that you can be more than a role player, that you're worth this 3-year, $100 million contract. Go stay finished you last year, which is why I actually disagree with y'all. I think even they draft James Wiseman, they'll keep Draymond, because I don't think nobody wants to draft their contract, one. But two, they still need a playmaker. He was the pseudo kind of point forward for them. Even with James Wiseman, he's still a point forward. I don't think it's quite yet. They might consider it, but I don't think it's quite yet. I don't think it'll be within the next. I don't think it's gonna be before next season. But I'll
say my trolling off for next week.
I can't wait.
Draymond speak for L of the month though. 8 points a game. Don't talk to her. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
this is supposed to be your year. You averaged, I think, 12 points a game one year. No, 14 may be the most he averaged. I had to look at Gabe stats. I mean, this is supposed to be your time to at least average that.
Right.
At least. But yeah, Draymond Green, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But for my honorable mention, I just got to mention this guy. Aaron Gordon definitely should have been a nominee on this list because his refusal to let go of losing the dunk contest fair and square to DJJ. All I'm going to say is I've never known, especially with the quarantine going on, that time could be wasted. Time was wasted.
My God.
Was spent for him to make a diss song towards D-Wade called 9 out of 10. And then in the beginning of the video, you're drinking wine.
Yeah.
This is
That point.
He on this and then kiss his ass. Like
exactly.
L.
You know what? Why wouldn't it?
You know what?
You know what?
You want to
He could be there for Rex Ryan, for real.
Yo, because social media
This
did
our
have
show.
a field day with that, bro. That's a fourth one, Trevor. That's a fourth one.
I don't even think there's a fourth one. I think you replace it with Rex Ryan. I think we all kind of agree that Rex Ryan, besides the turd comment, very valid points. Honestly,
I'm with it.
Yeah.
Y'all choose Aaron Gordon over the other two?
I still think it's Draymond.
Yeah.
I think because
I do.
You pick Aaron Gordon over the
I pick over the girls because, like you said, the girls you can recover from, and heck, they probably won't be there next year anyway. So, but this song with Aaron Gordon and just his feelings, it's like, bro, just let it go.
Get out of it.
But you gonna continue to dwell, and we gonna continue to dwell, and we gonna see what happens. So yeah, that's my L of the month.
My only argument for Aaron Gordon, I agree we can go add him because Trevor makes great points that I ain't thinking about. But I think the argument is most. Of course, I know for a fact me and Trevor thought DJJ won fair and square, and I think most of us over here didn't think it was.
Yes.
It wasn't that big of a, like him losing wasn't like that big of a that big of a deal.
It's not. It wasn't as bad as 2016. That's
Right.
basically what we're saying.
And
The thing is, he made a song about it.
He did, but I think I still think the general consensus is everybody agree with him, even with everybody believes he should have won, so everybody's on his side either way.
Let's find out. So that's why I say
this is gonna be clear. So we're gonna see. I think general consensus, everybody's like, yeah, he should have won. So they speak probably bumping the song, actually liking it. Who knows? You know how people are.
Man, people like everything nowadays.
Yeah. And I was right. Draymond, the highest scoring was 14 points a game.
14 points, yeah.
2015 and 2016 season. Since then, he's averaged 10.2, 11, 7.4. Oh, he averaged more
and
than
8.
Oh, 7.4. That was it. It wasn't.
It's not good. It's not good.
All right. Not good at all.
All right, man. That was that was it. All right, another good episode, number 80 down in the books.
Yep.
Till next time.
Till next time.